All right, coming in at number 21 on our Locked On Senators 2023 NHL Draft rankings, we are going to Russia, where Daniil But comes in as one of those classic Russian offensive talents where he shoots right but plays the left wing.
And this is a guy with size, one of two very large Russians we're going to cover today, Ross, and both of them happen to be teammates as well. But let's start here with Daniil But, and there's a lot to like about this player. I mean, you look at his point totals in the MHL. For those unfamiliar, the MHL is similar to the AHL in Russia, and he put up good numbers in Yaroslavl with 26 games played, 15 goals for 11 assists, good for 26 points. So a point per game guy. And yeah, if you're just listening on YouTube, Ross has his dimensions put up here. 6'5", 203 pounds.
Which will immediately catch the interest of NHL teams who are looking for their next Valery Nichushkin or these, big power forwards. And he's got a bit of that, Pilsy, but he plays much more of a skill game, right? He only had 2 goals in 15 games in the KHL, but there's a reason why Corey Pronman has him all the way at number 9. Number 9, top 10 pick, according to Corey Pronman, skill-wise in this draft. Everyone else a little bit more reserved on Daniil But. We've got Chris Peters at 20. We've got Scott Wheeler at 26, Elite Prospects at 24, and Craig Button down at 30. So, Pills, he's going to be a first-round pick, but what would entice you if you were a team to drafting Daniil But?
Well, it's very hard to find highlights on Russian players, as most scouts and people researching for the draft know. But the few highlights I was able to watch on him, Ross, for his size, he is very, very smooth on the ice. Like, he's able to shoot past deke with ease. And we mentioned it, 6'5", 203 pounds, but he doesn't play a power forward type game. He's not that physical, doesn't play a lot of defense. Honestly, it's more all about his stick handling. This guy has the puck on a string, and he is very, it's very easy for him to just dance around defenders and get to areas that he wants to just either shoot or set up his teammates.
Yeah, I like that description of him. I also like his competitiveness from the few things I saw, and also from reading about him. He looks like a kind of guy who is coachable, is a guy who's going to give 100% on the back check, at least in terms of getting back there. Now, the skill part of, stick positioning is something that you can always improve on. But if you're a scout, you're just looking at the size skill combo, the fact that he can put up points over in Russia, and you're like, okay, what would he look like on the smaller ice? Is he the type of player that's going to excel if and when he comes over from Russia and is able to play in a north-south environment? Because even though he's not like a physical power forward, he still holds the trait of having a really good puck protection game. So I think for him to be able to hold on to pucks down low and find teammates and use his vision, I think could benefit him even more so. I'm just curious who's going to take the risk, because again, he's signed for a couple more years over there, and he's not going to be a guy who you're going to get into your system in the next couple of years. So this is a long-term project, if not for the only reason being that you're not going to see him for the next 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, it could be a while, but Ross, this is a raw talent guy that even if he wasn't contractually obliged in Russia, I think you're looking at a project development path for him anyways. I don't think he's coming into the NHL anytime soon, although he did have 2 goals in 15 KHL games. Now, the ice time ranged from 0 minutes to 14 minutes in the KHL, so kind of classic stuff there. And his dad, Anton, was a pro player in Russia for 17 years. So he has those pro hockey genes. So you know that at least he has some guidance, and he's someone that is very kind of driven to stay in the game of hockey. And I think he's got the skill that he can do that. Now, where he needs a lot of help on his development is his skating. This is a 6'5" guy that doesn't really skate that well, according to David St. Louis from Elite Prospects. So I think you're going to see teams that are not really desperate to have NHL talent join them right away. He could be a nice guy for those teams that are like, okay, we can wait 2 years, 3 years, work on your skating, develop the rest of your game over in Russia, try to get a little bit more physical, and then come over to North America and we'll get ready then.
Interestingly enough, Corey Pronman lists all of his skills as average, except for his shot, which is above average. So to have those types of feedbacks about a player and then rank him 9th overall on the list, I find to be a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
But as a player, I can see why a team would be interested in him. I totally understand it. So to me, it's just like he's probably a mid-20s pick to me.
I think so.
Maybe because you have the geopolitical factor, but I think for another part, just that I don't know how many teams have scouts in NHL. I'm sure a lot of teams do. I don't think Ottawa is one of them that's scouting the MHL, but I am curious to see who takes them. I think it might be a team with a track record of having a lot of Russians in the system. Minnesota comes to mind. If they have a late first round pick, which I'm not 100% certain, I've actually got here 21st overall, Minnesota, actually, that could be a fit. But he's a guy where if you have him in the late 20s, I'm not gonna push back at all. I'll just say, hey, good pick. Like he could develop into something that you would really like and could even be a top 6 forward in the NHL.
Yeah, and I think part of this might be his skating, at least, Ross. The deficiencies there is he hasn't grown into his body yet. Like maybe there was a big growth spurt and he hasn't quite figured out how to mechanically kind of adapt to this new frame. So give him some time. I think this will be a good prospect. I got him ranked at 3.5 stars. I just think there's guys that are going to be available in this area that I would rather roll the dice on.
Who would you rather roll the dice on, Daniil But or Edward Saleh?
Oh, Daniil But for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Saleh was my first do not draft prospect of this year. So that's clear.
A little tease because we have 70 different NHL draft profiles coming on YouTube at Locked On Senator. So go check them out today and go check them out again once your team makes their selection at the NHL Draft coming up in Nashville.